think we got the cat just a little bit confused. Hey, everybody, I'm Tommy Scoville, and this is The Lifeboat. And that degenerate on the right side of the screen, well, my right side of the screen, get your volume down. Tighten up your game. That is my brother, the older Scoville. See what I did there? Hold on. There we go. Now I'm almost your height. Kevin Hawthorne, Lakeland, Florida. What's happening? Give me back that basket. She is not.
She's not at all.
Get up here, kitty. It's okay. Come here.
That's not going to work.
Yeah, she wants the basket where the basket is. It's okay. There you go. We know where we're at. She's back. Hey, where are you going? Settle down. That's, I knew it. She just wants to knock stuff down. It's a squirrel morning here on the Lifeboat.
Side on the right there. It's packed on the right.
Oh, she's just showing off. If you could see how she's weaving in and out of really expensive things right now. She's just
can't go well.
No, this is a tragedy waiting to happen. She's gonna jump. Oh, that was impressive. Anyway, seventh son, good to see you. Seventh, my son said something yesterday. He said, I got an idea about seventh son. Man, it was a good idea. My kid's pretty slick, but the two of us were discussing you yesterday. I'll just have you know that. Just kick that around. He said, I saw something and it made me think of seventh. We got to get this. And it really is just one of those gifts that when you'll go, oh man, why didn't someone? Anyway, my other's Keeper. Good to see you. Kestrel, there is nothing's broken so far. She just leapt onto a very high thing. Hey, Arwa, good to see you. Do you know Arwa's an author? Did I tell you this yesterday?
Oh, golly.
She just jumped right back down, didn't she?
Yeah, but the thing she's dodging.
How did she not hit something?
Landing. Did you see that?
Oh, I really wish this was on film because she is just, come on, you're doing great. Oh, that was so impressive. She walks down this little thing, this little balance beam thing that's part of the roll top desk. I don't know how you're a little athlete. Oh, and you know what? Look where she is.
And she's on
if you purr,
the
squirrel cam's gone, but if she purrs, we're going to get
pick it up.
Yeah, if she purrs, you're going to be able to hear her actually because she's parked on top of the microphone. She's in a pretty good mood. We're going to get a squirrel cam.
She was a problem last night.
Yeah, she was.
Are we going to talk
really?
about that?
No, we're not ready to talk about the cat.
All night.
Yeah, Calhoun, the cat was really on one last night. I don't know what the hell was going on, but Squirrel's got. Yeah, I saw. Squirrel literally just pointed at my glasses. Did you see that? Is that funny? My cat just took her paw and put it on the glasses. Like, you gonna put these on, or Lisa's gonna show up and start yelling at you? Lisa, who by the way doesn't sound like she smoked 6 packs of cigarettes. Didn't someone say that? Oh, you weren't there for that.
I was not there.
I love her voice, actually. But I do sound like I just smoked 6 packs of cigarettes. Matrix Rabbit, good to see you. Rick Spicer, how are you, Rick?
Hey, Rick.
Tree Hugger, what's happening? Jeremy Fowler, it's always an honor and a pleasure. Stay Spiria, representing the younger audience here on the Lifeboat. Demon, good to see you. Cosmic Christie. Hey, it's Kristen Melinda. Fascinating, Kristen Melinda. Hey, there she is. Do you see what I did this? Did you see that? Actually, Squirrel did it this time. But yeah, mischief managed. Maybe talk to the kitty because she's been a little.
Yeah, it's got to be a picture. Look at that.
That's a happy cat, isn't it?
Wicked happy.
And it probably looks like she's on the microphone because of how you took the picture.
She's getting ready to talk.
Like she's getting ready to. My cat is perfectly lined up right behind the microphone. Johnny's getting a lot of play off my cat. I feel like I should be getting paid. For the amount
she should.
Yeah, well, I mean, sorry. That is my significant other.
She's talking to the camera. Is that awesome?
Squirrel doing her show. Do you see that right there on the microphone? Hi, this is the Squirrel Scoville show. Yeah, thank you for calling in. All right, so let's get to work. You know what we're talking about this morning, people? We're talking about true crime. It is a true crime Saturday morning because this dirtbag got a phone call from Suge Knight. The really funny thing about these phone calls, man, you got to be stupid to not know that everything you're saying is being recorded, right? So what they said was not like wildly out in the open, but one of the things that Suge said to him is, hey man, they're going to get you if they can because of that stuff you guys have been doing. And the way he says it, look, I don't put anything on. I swear to you people, all I got to do is mention a cat's name and we get demonetized. I'm not using clips ever again. I'm not doing any of that garbage. For real, I can use some still photos. If we run a video, you spend so much time fighting for those videos, it's just not worth it, man. It's not. And you know what? I'm not a greedy cat. I'm really not. If I was, I'd be doing Danny Masterson videos every day. right? Because they're the biggest payout I get. And they're also disrespectful, in my opinion. And I'm not doing them anymore. That's just my thing. Anybody can do whatever they want, right? But you almost dropped us on the ground. Scoob, settle down. A little early in the morning to be dropping the Scovilles. So he gets a phone call from Suge Knight, and we all know Suge's doing some time. I think, Kathy was here the other day, 7th. Our new schedule's kind of messed with her a little bit, but she was over here the other day. If you've never gone over and checked out Kathy, you should. She's an incredibly gifted musician. You want to throw her sign up? Her channel up, 7th. She's a member of the boat in good standing. Jess Spam, longtime lurker. I'm an introvert, so I never comment. But I just wanted to say, love you and Reese's friendship. Oh, how cool. And a big shout out to Squirrel. Well, thank you so much. You know what? Her friendship means a lot to me. I don't think you have any idea. I have found myself confiding in her in ways that I've not confided in other people before. And it has opened a whole new, a whole new avenue and a bit of a crap storm, in life. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing, right? It really is. And I will touch on that, but I do want to talk about, first we're going to talk about this guy, because this Diddy thing, when we started talking about this, which God, man, I was in Nevada. Right. So we've been talking about this for a really long time. And the first time I came on, I said, this is out of my wheelhouse, right? Even in terms of true crime, this isn't really, when I talk about true crime, my particular slant very often is I can talk about things that others don't have the same authority on because of my messed up life. Right. I don't really have any perspective on anything that's going on in this, right? That other than the same opinions that anybody else could have, I have no inside info or anything like that. I spy an inhaler. Yeah, Johnny's always got that close. He's all right, but yeah, Johnny has asthma. That's a permanent fixture in Johnny's life and has been for as long as I can remember. Right? I don't remember a time when you didn't. I don't think I remember a time. Maybe I do, but it would have been a couple of years. By Burlington,
I was with you once, visiting you for a while. Do you remember this? When we were in Utah, and I was having an asthma attack and dying, and I lost my inhaler. We went into a restaurant to get drinks before going downtown, and we looked at a table, and the people had left, and there was a brand new sitting on the table. I looked around, I picked it up, and I looked at the back. It was a number thing. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was breathing again.
Yeah, it's one of those that every time you pump the thing, it tells you how many inhales you got left. And he was just like, well, it was a really scary thing anyway. We were freaking out. In fact, I'm not trying to tell tales out of school, but the reason we stopped at that bar was to get a different medication that was going to hopefully open up your airways a little bit. If my memory serves me correct, we were getting Bolivian marching powder to try to offset asthma.
Turns out the albuterol worked better.
Albuterol's considerably cheaper. We didn't have to buy any of that crap.
You did in front of a police officer.
Yeah. Well, and we weren't actually out trying to get, by that juncture in my life, I don't think I was a really big fan of the Bolivian marching powder.
No.
You know the Dread Pirate Roberts? Tell you what, man. If you don't, you're probably on the wrong boat. Right? Every night he would say, I studied with the Dread Pirate Roberts. A lot of people don't know that. Every night he would say, Tommy, I love you. I'll probably kill you tomorrow. But here I am. And no jail for albuterol. Well, you would think, right? But I'll promise you, if you start trying to get albuterol and not pay the unbelievable markups, Johnny, what do you pay for that?
What do I pay or what do you normally pay?
What do you pay for that?
I pay $4 for that.
$4. Now that's a great deal, right? On an inhaler. Now you do not. Primatene Mist. Hey, Primatene Mist is awful. It has been changed, by the way, right? But don't play with Primatene Mist. This is a public service announcement to people that abuse drugs. Do not play, right, with Primatene Mist. If you happen to be in one of the few states that still allows Benzedrine inhalers, don't play with those either. Has the boat sailed Lake Champlain? Not only has the boat sailed Lake Champlain, but I have seen Champ I'm not being funny and I'm not catching any crap for it, but I am one of the people who has a no joke verified sighting of Champ. I will also tell you that the person I was with that day does not do drugs, right? We were on a laser sailboat. You knew who I was with. Don't use the entire name. But yeah, I saw you lock and load. You were ready to. We used to race these little boats, right? Which I admittedly is probably a spoiled white Northeast kid activity. But we used to sail these little. They're kind of like sunfish, right? But laser class is a little bit. I don't know. I've always thought they were a much better boat. Instead of having that little thing that you put your feet in, right? You have a much kind of bigger setup than you do with, say, a sunfish. But Champ is the Loch Ness monster of Lake Champlain, which separates Vermont and New York and a lot of other. It's a very large body of water, and there is something that. Hey, happy birthday from Israel. Be safe, please.
Wow.
Right to you and all of our friends over there.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Yeah, there's you had a camp on Lake Champlain? Fantastic. Okay, well, I'll tell you right now. I was at Sandbar State Park, and that's where we had put in the boat. We were at Sandbar State Park. We put the boat in there, and we had been racing in these. The races take about 20 minutes, right? And there are many of them throughout the course of the day. So we had just started what was probably our third race of the day, and we had not yet lost. So we were having a hell of a day, and we stopped what we were doing and literally left the race because of our sighting of Champ. Big, huge thing. Kind of went down like this. We sailed over. Now we had to. We went over and told people, and yeah, everybody. I've caught a lot of crap for a long time because of it. If you really want to know the truth,
How many times have you almost told that story?
Yeah, I've almost
stuck
told
it
that.
in your back pocket. And go, nah.
Yeah,
You assess who you're looking at and go, they can't.
Yeah, more often than not, I also was there for the Phoenix Lights. I was there for that. There are certain stories you're just better off going. You know, people always try to explain the Phoenix Lights. I was speaking at the time. I was on the balcony of a hotel. I was standing outside smoking a cigarette, watching that. I promise, whatever they tell you is. Anyway, hey, Kathy, there you are. We were just talking about you. I would imagine that tomorrow is a very big day, for believers across the world. Tomorrow's a huge day. So I would imagine that rehearsal for church, a lot of people are getting ready for church tomorrow. So the Phoenix Lights, Shannon Smith, was one of the largest sightings of an aerial phenomenon in our country. Over 40,000 or something people reported it. Very
moving along.
Moving along. Very unusual.
Show's over, folks.
Yeah, there it is. We just got demonetized. Very unusual aerial phenomenon. And I just happened to have been working as a public speaker. And this was right around the time where they were getting vicious about you smoking in hotel rooms. And I was still a smoker, right? So if by some chance they caught you smoking, so I was outside on the balcony because that's where I was. Yes, I was in Hill Valley in '85. There's some truth to that. I was there, not for the original, but for the restriking when they were rededicating the clock tower. Yeah, I was not quite born for the first one. That was the Johnny's in the know. Yeah, Johnny's in the know.
What you're talking about.
Sure you don't. Okay, so back to Diddy, since we've kept you here for a while. We've let everybody show up. When I did the Diddy thing back in Nevada, I said this is wildly outside of my wheelhouse. But the reason that I'm talking about this is because I think that everybody's really missing the picture on this one. And now I think I am fascinated by this subject for a completely different reason. I really am. So when the Me Too movement hit, do you feel like it hit hip hop?
Oh no, that's coming. That wave is coming.
Right? Like I feel like it did not. I feel like it didn't happen.
It skirted around it.
I feel like it skirted around it, and I think misogyny is alive and well in hip hop, and I think it's just such a part of that culture, right? That this is ugly, and I think that Yeah, right. Kestrel says skipped hip hop mostly. I mean, I suppose that you could say R. Kelly. I mean, he's not hip hop, right? He's not hip hop. He's not. He's R&B. Like he's classic R&B. But it's about as close as anybody got. Can you think of anybody else that got really hemmed up in that? Because I can't. But it is an industry that treats women pretty foul. Listen to the lyrics. I mean, just the lyrics alone is really kind of foul. Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about who Diddy could cut deals with to get out of trouble. Because Matrix Rabbit says the scuttlebutt is Diddy is going to give up TD Jakes. This is what I have heard. I caught that. I watched that video. Someone was I think that there's a lot here that is so much bigger, right? Than no, I agree with you, Cosmic Christie. There are pockets, right? In anything. But I think that across the board, I don't think that country music views and talks about women in the same way that hip hop would. I think that there are guys in country music that are just as foul as anything else, right? But I think as a genre, right, the term hoe gets thrown around quite a bit, as does the word bitch. And I'll tell you something that I find really odd, right? Is how often that when people like this get, from that industry get interviewed, how often they use the word female instead of woman or girl or lady or female. It's just, I think it's a very unusual. They always refer to women as females instead of anything else, which I find odd.
I was doing an interview and the person was at a dating service and I was sitting with a black man and he said that. And I said, I got to put the brakes on and ask you a question. Why do you do that?
Why do you refer to
women? I've never heard a white man do that. And he literally said, I'm not even going to say what he said.
Don't say it. If it's foul as hell, I don't want to hear it.
They don't deserve a distinction.
Oh, yeah. See, that's
female. They don't deserve the distinction, is what he said.
Well, you know what? I've heard, it feels odd, right? Midnight Show says it feels odd. I hate the word female too. I'm glad Badika said this so that I don't sound like a jackass. I'm so glad that a woman said this. I don't like the word. I really don't. I feel like it's used intentionally to be disrespectful. And maybe I'm an ass, but I was in the joint and it is ubiquitous. It is just, and it's not all black dudes in the joint. It's everybody. Like, I don't say that. I call women women, but they, he'd say, well, when I'm with females, and I'd go, like, you're putting this on because you weren't raised this way. I'm talking to like cellmates of mine, right? This is a white dude. I'm like, Shannon, I think this is my opinion. I'm just telling you my opinion. But I think it's really unusual that everybody does it. You understand what I'm saying?
It's almost like there's a memo.
It's like there's a memo. And I'll be honest, right? I have had this conversation and I'm not telling anybody what I've had people tell me, for real, right? But the term used to describe a female dog is also a word that gets used a lot. And it is used affectionately, as in that is my, right? Not a phrase I would ever say, right? But I'm raised in a different time. I'm willing to say that they're not trying to be disrespectful, right?
It's just,
yeah. Calhoun. I am absolutely Kestrel. Yeah, I don't like the word. Never liked the word. I've never liked the word. But I have a sister who is a unbelievable communicator. My older sister is an incredible communicator, 6 years older than I am, and took an interest in me, right? And was very, very kind. Zen Wen, good to see you. Z-Dub, send me a text after we are live. I sent you a card, and I'd like to know if you got it. So just text me when we're done. But my sister, was very clear to me when I was a little boy about what words like that felt like to her. And I adored my sister, and I literally, I walked away from my childhood having really been explained how certain words made my sister feel. I was never going to do that to my sister, so it didn't really make a lot of sense for me to do it to other women. The female thing, right? You can call somebody whatever you want. And I don't know what's in every single person's heart. I've asked 2 people in my life for their explanation of why they say it. Both times I couldn't say the answer on this microphone on my channel. So I think that's messed up. But keep in mind where I was when I asked this question, because I think that's important, right? But you were not. You asked this question in an office. I asked this question in prison. Now, people in prison have a much different, right? But I do think that it is odd that find somebody in that industry that uses any other way to describe a woman other than female, right? Exclusively. Like when I go out with females or anytime they're with females. I heard somebody last night, it was Piers Morgan was interviewing 2 individuals. I'm trying to remember who the 2 individuals were. DJ Vlad, I believe, was one, and I'm trying to remember who the other was. But it was somebody that had recorded with Diddy. But the question was asked about misogyny, and to the person's credit, he said, "I'm not 100% sure what that word means." When the word was described and defined beautifully, by the way, by Piers Morgan, this is somebody that dislikes women because they're women, right? For no other reason. He explained misogyny, I think, beautifully, right? And the answer went on to, well, when you're with females, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but he said, when you're with females and you're famous, right? Part of this culture is that their buzz as a woman sexually is to be near men that are this powerful. And basically they put up with that because that's part of the buzz. That's a jacked up answer, right? That's a jacked up answer. Kestrel says, I'd rather be called bitch than female. I understand where you're coming from on that. I understand where you're coming from on that. Yeah, deeming. I'm not a fan of any of those words. I can't even bring myself to say those words. So I'm going to leave those off of the table completely. But this to me is the more important story in all of this. This is the most fascinating part of this story to me. As you start to hear this thing unravel, I want you to listen for how these guys talk about trading female artists, right? Because they were literally trading. Now, if you're a mogul and you're building a record label, I would imagine that this is fairly common, right? Whether it's a man or a woman, it is a product. And I get that. But you will hear, when you hear these things coming out, these guys were also sleeping with these people, right? Now, when you are paying, right, and buying and selling human beings who you are also sleeping with, that is human trafficking. Even if these people happen to sing or do whatever, right, that's human trafficking. The fact that they're not being smuggled across a border or whatever, you're buying and selling human beings. And they talk about it in podcasts like it's completely normal, but they weren't just buying and selling catalogs of music. They literally were looking at this like buying people, right? So yesterday or the day before, I caught a video. 50 Cent is really torqued up.
Ooh, I saw that too.
And this is a term that I just saw somebody, it went by quickly, but somebody said they don't like the term baby mama. And I understand why you don't like the term baby mama. In prison, if a guy says my baby's mama, it means there's somebody other than, right? He has somebody he's sleeping with, and then he's got his baby's mama. Like they're two different, right? So I can understand that probably has that kind of a sound. But 50 Cent, by his own description, his baby's mama has been listed as a sex worker in one of the filings having to do with Diddy. Now, who knows, right? I have a real problem thinking that a whole lot of any of the people that were in that little sphere were consenting to anything. For real. If the person that you are messing around with has the ability to destroy your career like this, can you consent? If the person that you're messing around with has the ability to make you famous like this, are you consenting? Because to me, right, you can't consent if the person that you're with is in a position of power above you, because that position of power has skewed whether or not,
Amen.
right? How many people do you think
Crazy
would have
dynamic.
said, how many people do you think would have said yes to Harvey Weinstein if they had met him in a restaurant? Huh?
Right.
Yeah, that handsome bastard. You think that there were a lot of people lining up to go home with Harvey Weinstein if he was a carpenter?
So also I just read. They talk about what you brought up, the Me Too movement.
Those people can't
This is
consent.
what it said. This is interesting take. Rappers are either horribly guilty or hugely innocent. And perhaps the Me Too movement set on the hip hop will clarify that stereotype and define show who's who.
Right.
But it's one or another. It seems like it's a pretty interesting take.
I think that this is going to be okay, here we go. Allison, you're funny. I do. I love it. Calhoun, throw that one up there. She says, Kestrel 42. So if I'm documenting your doctor's visit, you would prefer that I write 42-year-old bitch rather than 42-year-old female. And that's funny. It really is. That's funny. I think these things tend to skew slightly when we use these terms outside of their normal usage. And Weinstein's wife now, a well-known fashion designer, is gorgeous. Truthfully, yeah, truthfully. Now,
that was an arrangement.
By the way,
she's a businesswoman.
Yeah, she's a businesswoman, and that's an arrangement. That's what Johnny Scoville said, and I kind of got to go with that. I kind of got to believe that that there's probably a lot of truth to that. Listen, you can fall in love with somebody no matter what they look like, right? That doesn't matter. It really doesn't, right? But the important thing is that if you decide to have relations with somebody, right, that you do it on a level playing field where you go, you know what? I dig this person digs me. The two of us are going to go off. If part of that dynamic is I dig this person digs me, and this person could make me the most famous person, right? Like this person could make me rich, famous, and everything with the stroke of a pen. If they say you're hired, it means you're famous. It means you're rich. It means your kids don't work. It means their kids don't work. Right? Can you consent to that? I don't know, man. I don't know. That seems really hinky to me. If I said this wrong, I don't mean that any person that went with Harvey Weinstein made a decision to do so, right? You don't. Well, I think that if that came out wrong, or anybody that ends up in a room with a music mogul either, what do you assume is going to happen? You assume at some point you're going to sit down with the big power heavyweight hitters because that's what happens, right? Now, if that person happens to go, oh, by the way, you know what I would like you to do before you leave here? Okay, now things get really, really messed up, right? And I think that we're going to find out, like my brother just said, and whoever wrote that, we're going to find out that really hasn't been happening. Or we're going to find out that is just absolutely vicious. Here we go. And this, people, is where this is going, in my humble opinion. Mary J. by gender. Okay, here we go. Said, not going down with them boys. She's burning bridges. I think that we're going to see a lot of people making decisions on whether or not they need to save their themselves. And I think that this was the purpose of the raids on both coasts. And this is where I probably actually can lend a little bit of expertise to this discussion. When I was wanted for bank robbery, they knew I wasn't going to tell on myself, right? I wasn't that cat. That wasn't going to happen. So what they did was they shook every single tree in the city that I lived in. Like, I had gone on a date with a girl, which is really ironic because I don't go on dates, but I had gone on a date on February 14th. It was Valentine's Day. And a girl said to me, what are you doing? You got a Valentine? I said, I don't. She goes, you want to go out? I said, sure. Why not? The girl was a lot younger than I was. She was a dental hygienist. We went on one date. We did not do anything. Honestly, Spanx Calhoun called in the middle of the date. And it occurred to me that the kid I was on the phone with was pretty close to the same age as the person that I was on the date with. And I ended up bringing her home. There was nothing, literally. We went out to dinner. Nothing happened, right? However, they went to her office. The FBI walked in like this, right? With badges like this and waved them to everybody in the waiting room. They went in there to shake up the girl that I went on a date with. And they did, right? They freaked her out. She thought, I'm about to get fired. My boss wants to know why the FBI is here talking to me. So she was real willing to say whatever the hell, so she said, I don't know this guy really well, but I can tell you 15 people that know him real well. And she told them 15 people. And guess what they did? They went to those 15 people's place. I think they meant Mary J. Blige. And yeah, is who they meant. She is a musician that has been put out a lot of stuff in hip hop and been very, yeah. So, this is a pretty good one, right? Like, what do you do? Consent, but with your soon-to-be boss and friends staring at you? Yeah, I would consent. What choice is there right there, right? I mean, for real. Now, back up. And you're Usher. And you get dumped at this guy's house at 14 for a year. Right? You're a 14-year-old boy watching all of this crap going on around you. And I'm here to tell you that if what you were watching was a bunch of naked chicks doing crazy stuff, that's not good for a 14-year-old boy any more than if he was looking at it at the other side. It's not healthy. It really isn't. If you think he got hooked up because the people he saw naked were famous, it doesn't make it any easier. What it means is that those scars are going to be in magazines to look at for the rest of your life. That's what it means. Right? He's just more jacked up. Yeah, spell check is wacky today. It happens. Usher's parents, what the heck? Shannon Smith, I understand that sentiment probably as much as any other parent here. Now, but if your kid, right, is one of the most talented R&B, like you hear this kid sing and you go, you know what? This is God-given talent, right? Say what you will about Usher. It's not even my kind of music, but that dude's got pipes, right? Usher can sing. That dude can sing, right? And if you're his parents, what did that look like? It looked like the scratch-off lottery ticket. I bet the first thought wasn't, he's going to be surrounded by a bunch of naked chicks. I bet the first thought was, this person is going to help my son reach the potential that there's no way I can help him reach. Right? You live in a city, you're a single mom. This had to look like God answered every single prayer on earth. I'm not cutting her any slack. I just kind of get it. I wouldn't have done it with Spanky, and he'd still hate me to this day. Right? Because I wouldn't have sent my kid off. If that was an option, I would not have sent my kid off, but I bet he would have hated me forever because of it. For real, right? But what chance do you got to be in normal? And Usher said he would let his 14-year-old kids play at Diddy's. I haven't heard that. I saw him on Howard Stern, and I saw somebody that saw stuff that he wish he hadn't seen. I promise. I saw a male SA survivor. That's what I saw. You should, if you watch that video, he talks about all the things that he talks about a lot of stuff going on, and he said, and a 14-year-old should never have seen it. Maybe he thinks it's different for his kids, but I don't. But Bieber, this gets said a lot, by the way. People say then the same thing happened to Bieber. Bieber did not spend a year with him, right? It was a much shorter. The Biebster did go there for flavor camp, right? But that flavor camp for him was considerably shorter, which is probably, he actually said on Stern that he wouldn't let his kid around that. Thank you, Carol. I kind of thought, because that's the sentiment I got. J9 says, Kanye admitted to having sex addiction after being exposed to dirty mags at a young age. Heard other people say those things before as well. I don't know. I don't feel like it had a ton of effect on me. I really don't. But I didn't have a wild amount of exposure to it. And mine was pretty tame. And we had Playboy. I don't think we were looking at anything that was real hard, but Was it Usher who discovered Bieber? That is my understanding. Again, not really my genre, but that is my understanding. And it does seem to me, right, that in both instances, that what happened to those two guys, they seem like survivors to me. They seem like, they seem like
credited for finding Bieber was a guy named Scooter Braun, an executive American record exec.
Scooter Braun, apparently. Huh?
He was with MG Records.
I thought that was Hitler's old lady. No, that was Ava Braun. Sorry, Ava Braun. Scootsy.
Pretty sure Scooter's sister's not.
Says Calhoun calls him Scootsy.
Scootsy's sister's name isn't Ava, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. You guys go way back, Calhoun, or what's up with you and Scoots? What do we got here? Justin not joining Usher in the Super Bowl, I think says a lot, says Miradera. They might. Shannon Smith says Bieber was there 2 days, I think. That's what I have heard, and that's what I have read. But then somebody sent me something where the kids said it is in their eyes. That's a great comment, by the way. You know what? While we're on the subject, the other night I touched on something personal that, that had happened with me and a teacher, right? That I didn't talk about a lot of with a lot of people in my life growing up. My brother knew, right? There were some people that knew, but 20,000 people on the lifeboat, right? What are the odds that somebody from my hometown watches the lifeboat, right? Probably halfway decent, right? That somebody caught wind of the fact that, Tommy Scoville went to school here under, whatever name. So 2 people from my hometown actually reached out to me since that video. And one I have been in contact with for often. The 2 of us have communicated back and forth, lovely, lovely lady. But she was aware of who the person that I was talking about. She knew who that person was. The second person that reached out to me had a similar thing happen to him with this same teacher 14 years later.
What do you think her body list is?
14 years later, right? Now, here's the crazy part of this story. This kid didn't take it. This kid told his parents.
Nothing happened.
No, nothing happened to her. She was sorry people, but here you go. The union lawyers came in and protected her. That's what happened. And that's the story from the mouth of the horse. And the odd thing is the other person who I talked to from my hometown just wrote the initials of the union and said, that's all I have to say. So I don't think, as crazy as this sounds, it makes me think if I had done something different way back then, it wouldn't have made a shit bit of difference anyway. So what difference does it make? There's something peaceful in that, as crazy as that sounds. It really does, because you start thinking to yourself, if I had done something, maybe that wouldn't have happened to anybody else. But as it turns out, that wouldn't have probably done a damn thing. Right? They would have come swooping in, and I'll tell you something. The kid that reached out to me, he's almost 40. What about the cops? Yeah, it's the whole thing is really kind of messed up. And the more that I ended up talking about it, that I know that the person that was teaching dance at the time for the same group, I know that she knew what was up because the 2 of them talked about it. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Here's the thing. It's not like this. People in the school weren't talking. There were people talking about it.
VTV. Yeah. I mean, we could keep going back, right? Where do we go back to? Because it all started with the blues, right? Didn't we all start with Chess Records? Didn't all of this? Like if we go all the way back, we could blame it on the hair bands of the 80s.
No, let me be
no, there's no bad guy. No. But this is
misogynistic. It's like you can't
Oh no.
argue.
Well, no matter where, and that was my point, that no matter where it comes from, right? If the lyrics continue to say bitch, whore, that's misogynistic. Sorry. I'm not a woman, but I'm pretty damn familiar with the definition of the term misogyny, right? And when you just that, right, that is those lyrics, you know, I'm cool that it doesn't bother people. It's completely a deal, right? But we can go all the way back to, right? I mean, I love the chess catalog is my favorite cat in the world, man.
The country's desensitized to it, and that's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, it is. We have to keep pushing it. We have to keep pushing it because it will not stop. You know, bother our parents. We got to go a little further to bother our parents, and then we got to go a little further and a little further. And you know, muddy waters. Before Muddy, there wasn't rock and roll. There wasn't. As far as I'm concerned, Muddy Waters invented rock and roll, right? With the help from, you know, Howlin' Wolf. There was a bunch you could pick. I'm pretty damn fond of Muddy Waters, but you could pick a bunch of them. But it was all, I mean, rock and roll started black, I promise. Well, the white boys didn't get a hold of it until much later, you know. And even when they did, they were pretty cool to tell you where they got it from, right? The Rolling Stones didn't call themselves the Rolling Stones for nothing. That's a lyric from a Muddy Waters tune, man. For real, right? Muddy was the king. Elvis wasn't. Sorry, I dig Elvis, but he wasn't the king of rock and roll, man. Just wasn't. Oh my God, did you see this?
Yeah, I did. Sure did. I know what you're looking at.
Yeah, that is just.
I know, right?
That is just awful, man. Well, you need to fix that, Arwa. If you haven't listened to Muddy in a while, you need to. Our local scandal teacher was openly called Pants Down Brown for years. In prison now. I'm guessing that Brown was a dude. Just gonna go out on a limb and say that Brown was a dude. It is good to see that there are people that are getting busted on both sides.
Wow, Donna, I'm so sorry. You're brave.
Donna, God bless you for having the guts to say that.
Brave.
Yeah.
At least your people that love you and won't judge you.
Yeah, not here. I promise. And you know what? I didn't say anything until 2 shows ago. And I've done 1,600 of these shows. It's the most uncomfortable thing in the entire world to say, isn't it? Right? It means that you got victimized. It does. And that's a crap thing to wrap your brain around. But you know something? If we don't talk about it, then we're going to be continuing to be victimized, right? When you say that this happened, it's uncomfortable for me to talk about. I hate it. And I know that people, bless you. I know that I make people uncomfortable talking about it, you know, for real. It's not a comfortable subject. It really isn't. It's a crap subject, man. But it is the things that happen, right, that cause us to do dope. Honest to God. And we don't, there's never been a point in my life ever where I went, oh, you know what, that teacher, if she didn't do that, I bet I never would have, that never happened. Because I would have still been doing it. I had other things going on. But I promise you, it messed up my love life for a long time. Right? It turned me into a real weirdo in terms of my love life for a very long time. That's, you know, if you are addicted to one-night stands, there's probably a reason for it, right? And it's because you don't want to be around with the person when it's over. That's not normal, right? It's not normal. So, but that's peeling the onion, and that's all of the stuff that we do here. Shannon, I'm so sorry. I really am. And I believe that it is. It's still messing with mine too. For real, it is. See this? There you go. That's no problem whatsoever. I relate really beautifully to this cat, right? It's
Tell you what, she's so sweet now. Last night she was a nightmare. It was the worst night in probably a month, maybe 2. Brutal. How many times did I meet you out there looking for her, trying to figure it out?
I want to tell you something. She was
unbelievable.
I love this cat,
So do I.
but I would have sold her last night for a slice of pizza or a cheese packet to put on top of a slice of pizza. Got a dog cuddled at your feet. It makes sense, right? Animals love unconditionally. And when they do something, right, that is cruel, we know it's an accident, right? Or we know we did something to bring it on. It makes sense to us, and it is what it is. I wish. Took me 4 years before I could say I'm a survivor of SA. I'm not a victim of SA. It's empowering to that point. I love that, Flick Fox. I really do. Kathleen, I agree with you. You're not going to find too many people that have been to prison, right? That aren't going to be going to be on board with the not being fond of people with that kind of paperwork, right? If you're a registered whatever, you're not going to do real well in the prison system here in the good old US of A. It's the one thing I will say that they get right. They don't treat people well like that in there, and they shouldn't. And they shouldn't. I don't know about a women's prison. Yeah, exactly, Kestrel. Exactly. That's just what I meant. Mama Spork, I promise you that your husband's childhood trauma caused his prescription drug addiction. I promise you. I don't need to meet him. I don't need to talk to him at all. I guarantee you, you're right. I guarantee you're right. Because this is what happens, right? This is exactly what happens. We look for ways to cope. And if there's something that we didn't cope with at the time, the person that did this to me while I had the lead in a musical, right? So it should have been a really cool, fun time. And it ended up being a really weird time. And, I would have passed the polygraph test to tell you that it did not mess me up in any way, shape, or form. You could have hooked me up to a machine and I could have passed that. Didn't do anything to me. But then when you get sober and you start peeling the onion and you start looking at where things got really weird in your life, you go, holy hell, right? Like I didn't have a normal relationship from that point on. It's cut and dry, right? Before her, after her. But if you don't get sober, you're never going to look at any of these things, right? You're not going to peel anything. You're not going to start, the purpose of everything that we do here and the purpose of everything that we do in recovery, yeah, whether you're recovering from drug addiction or whether you're recovering from assault or you're recovering from anything, right? The whole idea is to continue to peel back the layers until you can get to if you figure out where you're hurting, right, then you can figure out how to cope with it and how to deal with it. If you can't, if you don't know what's causing the pain, you'll just make the pain go away. That's what you'll do, right? If you don't know what's causing it and you can't journal about it and you can't talk to your friends and say, oh man, this hurt or this caused this or whatever. When you can't figure that out, you'll grab a bottle, right? You'll grab a bottle. You'll grab a bag. You'll make it go away. That's what we did. J9 says, I drank for a straight 20 years to avoid and forget. Yeah. Carol says, I just remember that I was hyper afraid to undress in my own house, in the bathroom or anywhere. I was always afraid there were eyes on me.
That memory just came now.
Of years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's awful. Well, you know what? No, that's for everybody. They're saying I can't connect to the internet in my own house. Calhoun, can you toss me up a bunch of ones? Oddly enough, I'm not connected to the internet, which is really kind of odd in and of its own right.
Oddly enough, you're definitely connected to the internet.
You would think so, wouldn't you, Spanky? This is why I got my kid around now, because he can say with authority things like, no, trust me, Dad, you're connected to the internet. Where I will say things like, you would think I would have to be. The kid's got probably...
I got a 5x5. It looks fantastic. And you sound good.
It's always nice that I can 5x5 from 2 feet away. That's the, do you notice the very
Sound
large...
good, look good.
Very large computer, Calhoun. Do you see that? That does not look like the Chase the Heat. The Chase the Heat comp has been actually the Chase the Heat comp is exactly where it's always been. But we needed something a little bit bigger for his fingers so that he can type quicker. Because damn, because we are about to embark on the story that is. Can't wait to tell you the title. It's the greatest title. Anyway,
Sworn to secrecy.
Plant Freak. I know, completely sworn to secrecy, which sucks. The working title is This Is Our Book. Just wanted to say, Tommy, I know it's not easy and very uncomfortable telling our full truths. I know how many years later, how my essay affected me. There needs to be more spaces where men can be. Thank you, Plant Freak. And I love the pie for Steve. I really do. I love that. To be honest with you, I haven't told full truths, but I'm getting closer, right? I'm still telling an acceptable version of the truth, and I'm probably gonna for a little bit longer. The difference is I'm now telling people that I'm telling an acceptable version of the truth, right? Instead of just saying this is what it is. Now I can say I'm going to tell you enough of this so that you know exactly what happened. Because I'm not ready to get rid of the rest of it yet. Now, here's the thing. I have actually had the conversation, which took 30 some odd years, right? So, and I've had it very recently. And unless you live under a rock or are really slow, you probably know who I had it with, right? And I don't know why. How's that? I have no idea why I had that conversation. I don't know why I was willing to have that conversation with her, but I had that conversation with Reese. Thank you for the yoga classes. Been really helpful this week. I am so happy to hear that. I really am. Yeah, baby steps do count. I have been lying about this for so long because it was a known thing in my town, right? That was acknowledged by somebody that emailed me, right? This was a known thing. So when it's a known thing, and there was another one that's a known thing too, right? Here, okay. So when it's a known thing and it's out there, you go with whatever narrative people are already telling. You just let them tell it, and you just sort of go, yeah, stud or whatever. Right? Whatever version they're telling ain't that big a deal. It's a lot better than telling, everything else. Does it bother me that the town didn't protect me? No, I don't think. I was talking with Johnny before we went live, and we did have a conversation where, boy, if it had happened today, right? It would be, it really would have been a very different world. But it was a very different world. And to hold the world responsible for today by the standards, or hold them responsible for what they did 30 years ago by the standards today, that seems like it would be really bad business on my part, if that makes sense. But I'm coming to grips with some of that, because I guess I didn't think about that a lot until just recently, right? I know that the school system is horrific. They knew that this woman was in there doing this, and that's a bummer. That's a bummer, right? They should have done something. No, if he plays Stairway, Rick, I'm taking the guitar, right? Those rules apply here.
I was actually just trying to figure out the Wayne's World thing. I think I know how to play it.
Doc says no Stairway. See, everybody was already well on board. That's not a joke. If you're a guitar player, go into a guitar shop and try to play Stairway to Heaven and watch it. It's funny that they put that in the movie, but it really is a thing. Go in there and they'll just look at you like
you just put your fingers on the right spot and go like Don't.
Oh, yeah, come
Don't
on.
do it.
Come on. Come on, man. Come on, man. Doc actually requested Stairway. Not happening around here. Don't do it. Don't you do it. Archie's mom, you know what? You're I don't want anyone to ever feel that way. You guys who support the channel, I appreciate the hell out of that. I don't look at you any different if you don't. I promise. Right? I promise. People, we set out to get 6 people. Right? There's 270 of you or something in here at early in the morning of a Saturday. I'm pretty, or Smoke on the Water. That was the first song that Johnny used to wake me up to, was Smoke on the Water. Kestrel's right. They did not think that women taking advantage of teen boys was abusive back then. They told themselves that all boys want it and ignored the power imbalance and coercive control involved. This is a fact. This is a fact. It is. I'm sorry, it is. And it that is absolutely how it used to.
It's almost like 1,000 years ago. If you think about it, though, if it did happen today, honest to God, it would.
Yeah, it would be completely a different world, right?
It almost seems like 100 years have passed as far as what's acceptable and what's not.
Well, it's the what bothers me was the narrative, because the narrative was that, like, I was out hunting down older women, right? That was the narrative. My uncle called. Do you remember that when the chief? Yeah, my uncle, right, from a different state, called my father to ask him about things he had heard about me, and that's a crap show, right? Because what I should have said to the old man at that time was, yeah, I didn't have anything to do with any of those things. They happened, but they were not my idea. That would have been a great conversation. But you see, that's just, it was not, I'm probably happier that we never had that conversation. In all honesty, I don't know. But it's just, it was a very different world. It really was a very different world. And I'm not making excuses, right? Zenwen says, House of the Rising Sun was the first tune she learned on guitar.
I learned it a long time ago, too.
That's a great song, Z-Dub. There is a house in New Orleans. Oh, I love that song. They call her Edison. Well, we're glad that you're here, and you make the lifeboat better, right? That's the secret of the lifeboat, right? That each time somebody comes here and pops their head up and says hello, the boat gets a little better. It really does. The mechanics of how bits fit together means that it's assumed that the male consents. It's not right, though. A lot of truth to that, right? A lot of truth to that. And believe it or not, that's the kind of
it doesn't matter how stoked a 16-year-old kid is, it's not consent.
Correct.
16.
Well, and that's, you realize that back then that was something you literally would have heard. Right. If you weren't into it, that thing wouldn't have worked, right? Well, it doesn't really work that way at 16. The concept of the concept is enough. I learned Something in the Way by Nirvana. Look at all of these women that play guitar. We have a lot of female guitarists on here. I love it. You're a lurker, Brenda?
I'm a lurker.
Well, thank you for not lurking today. Hey, would that be Brenda Solieri? Solieri. Character from what? There's a book. Who's Solieri from? Oh, man. See, you get too many books that all go to your head at the same time. That's right, Kestrel. Well said. Every question I think of and start to type, you answer. Well, what are the odds of that? Stick around. I'm usually not that good. All right? Must be having a good day. I'm 45 and it still doesn't work that way. I'm 54 and it doesn't work. But I think that's probably by design at this point. I used to be a big mind your own business person, but I think I would go to prison if I saw or knew someone was being abused these days. Tracy, I get it. I was telling the story yesterday. I was telling the story about this yesterday. I did time with the guy they called the governor. And I'll end with this. It's not going to make, but he had a niece who was assaulted at a party by a lot of people. And he went to his brother and literally said, I'm going to take care of this. They left her alive, and she was able to list every single person that did this to her. And the list was handed to the police, who did not get to it nearly as quickly as her uncle did, who tracked these people to 3 states and removed every one of them from planet Earth. Right? And to be really honest, probably not in the friendliest ways that people could meet their makers. Right? But the police, the inmates, doesn't matter what color you were, this man was treated as royalty. He is referred to as the governor. And I've never met anybody who was more at ease doing time than this cat was. He said, my life and my brother's were really different. He said, and I was quite willing to give up the rest of my life, because if I didn't, he probably would have. And he said he was really fond of it. He went and got vengeance on everybody that touched his niece. It's a bizarre thing, but I completely get it.
Me too.
I completely get it. And I get why every single person that comes across this dude inside of the prison, whether they be staff or anyone else, everyone has fantasized about doing what this man went out and did, right? Taking justice into their own hands, especially had it been a family member or whatever. So everybody gets it. Davey says, I get it. Stay Spurious says, good for him, right? Everybody gets it. He's the governor. Now, whether you respect it or not, and he said to me, he said, I said, no regrets. He said, nah, the last person that he went to see had run out of the state, and someone came out and said, hey, you're not doing this on my property, right? Yeah, he's here. He dispatched that guy real quick as well. And he said he would have rather not done that, but maybe that guy shouldn't have protected him. And
again, I get it.
There's an argument to be made there, right? There is an argument. Every kid needs a governor. You know what? I'm gonna leave the show on that note.
That'll do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave the show on that note because that's a good one. Calhounis, thank you for making the show run smoothly. People, I'm Tommy Scoville. That's my brother John. That's my son.
And I'm Max
Spank.
Headroom.
And you are Max Headroom. I will see you on the next one. God bless. Yeah.